Okay, so like you're a new entrepreneur,
Yeah.
right? Which probably means you're dealing with just a crazy amount of information every single day.
Yeah.
Like it's no joke building a business from scratch. It can really feel like you're drowning in emails and articles and to-do lists.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I think most of us are never actually taught how to manage all of that digital information,
Mm-hmm.
especially in a way that actually helps us reach our goals.
Right.
We know how to use the technology, the computers and phones and stuff,
Yeah.
but we don't really know how to control that flow of information.
It's like we know how to drive a car,
Yeah.
but we don't know how to use the GPS or read a map.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
So we're kind of just driving in circles.
Exactly. And so that's where this idea of bit literacy comes in. It's
Right.
like your roadmap to navigating the digital world.
I like that.
And, you shared Mark Hurst's book, Bit Literacy, with me, and I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we're going to try to break down his key strategies and make it super practical.
For busy entrepreneurs
Love it.
like yourself.
Okay, so let's jump right in
Yeah.
with this concept that Hurst calls the weight of bits,
Okay.
which sounds kind of odd, right?
Yeah.
Because bits are intangible, so how can they have weight?
Well, it's interesting because even though we can't physically touch digital information, it can feel so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that feeling of having a million tabs open in your brain and
Yeah.
you're constantly switching between all these different tasks.
Yeah, and never quite feeling caught up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the key things that's different about digital versus physical information
Yeah?
is that bits are constantly multiplying and changing.
Right.
So think about a notebook.
Okay.
If you drop it, the information is still there.
Right.
But if you drop your laptop,
Oh, gosh.
that's a whole other story.
Ouch. Yeah, that's scary.
So we don't always treat our digital information with the same care as our physical things.
And we probably should.
We need a different mindset when it comes to managing bits.
And the core principle that Hurst emphasizes is this idea of letting bits go.
So does that mean we have to swear off technology and become digital minimalists?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's more about being intentional
Okay.
with the information you consume and create and store.
Mhm.
It's about realizing that not all bits are equal.
Right.
Some deserve more of your time and attention than others.
I like that it's about making conscious choices.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we apply this whole letting go principle to something like email, which can feel so overwhelming?
Oh, yeah. Email is often the biggest culprit when it comes to information overload.
Definitely.
But Hurst actually has this simple framework for taming the email beast.
Okay, I'm listening.
He calls it the processing approach.
Okay, tell me more.
So instead of thinking of your inbox like a storage unit,
Right.
think of it as a processing center.
Okay.
Every email comes in and it needs to be sorted and dealt with.
So no more letting emails pile up for weeks.
Exactly. Hurst recommends you categorize every single email into one of 4 categories: actionable, delegable filing, or FYI.
Okay, let's break those down.
Okay.
What does actionable mean?
Actionable emails require you to do something.
Okay,
So maybe it's replying to a client or scheduling a meeting or making a decision.
got it. So those are the ones that need my immediate attention.
Yeah.
What about delegable?
Those are the ones that you can assign to someone else.
Okay.
Maybe forwarding a request to an assistant or asking a team member to handle a specific task.
Right. Delegation. Crucial skill
Absolutely.
for any entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Okay, what about filing?
So those are emails that you need to keep for reference, but you don't have to do anything right away.
Okay.
Things like contracts or receipts or important documents.
So those are the ones I would usually move to a folder
Right.
for safekeeping.
Exactly.
Okay, and lastly, FYI.
Those are purely informational.
Yeah.
They don't require any action.
Right.
Maybe it's a newsletter you subscribe to.
Yeah. Oh, so those are the ones that I just usually leave in my inbox because I'm not sure what to do with them.
Right.
But I could just delete them
Exactly.
once I've read them.
Yeah. And the ultimate goal of this processing approach is to have an empty inbox.
Wait, is that even possible?
It's more than possible.
Okay.
It can be transformative.
Okay.
Imagine starting each day with a clean slate, knowing that you've processed all your information and you're ready to focus on the tasks that truly matter.
I mean, that sounds amazing.
Right.
I can already feel my stress level decreasing
I know.
just thinking about it.
It's amazing.
Okay, so we've conquered email. What about to-do lists?
Yes.
Another area where I always feel behind.
To-do lists are essential, but they can get overwhelming.
Yeah.
And Hurst's bit literate approach can really help.
Okay, so what's the secret?
The first step is to ditch all those multiple lists.
Oh, yeah.
All the sticky notes, the notebooks,
Yeah.
the random scraps of paper, and consolidate everything into a single digital list.
Okay, that makes sense. But then how do we prevent that digital list from becoming a big, overwhelming mess?
The key is to use your calendar.
Okay.
Schedule those to-dos for specific days and times
Okay.
and prioritize them.
Got it.
So your to-do list is an actionable plan, not just a random collection of tasks.
Makes sense, but what about those tasks that don't have a deadline? Where'd those go?
Well, that's where a tool like curated.com comes in.
Okay, I've heard of that.
It lets you email tasks to specific dates, which creates automatic follow-ups.
Wait, you can email a to-do list?
Yeah,
Tell me more about this magic.
it's really simple.
Okay.
Let's say you want to remind yourself to follow up with a client next week.
Okay.
You just send an email to 1w@goodado.com,
Okay.
put the task in the subject line, and then a week later, that task will appear on your list.
Wow. No more relying on my memory or random Post-it notes.
Exactly.
Okay, that's incredible.
Uh,
I'm already feeling more organized.
I know, it's amazing.
But what about the constant stream of articles and blog posts and social media updates?
Right. That brings us to this concept of a media diet,
Okay.
which is basically the idea that we need to be just as mindful of the information we consume as we are of the food we eat.
So it's not about cutting out all media. It's about choosing wisely
Exactly.
and consuming information that nourishes our minds instead of just overloading us.
That's it. It's like a healthy eating diet.
Okay.
We need quality over quantity.
I'm on board with this analogy.
Good.
But how do we create a bit-literate media diet? Where do we even begin?
So Hurst recommends identifying your most valuable sources.
Okay.
The ones that consistently provide you with information that's relevant to your work.
Okay.
He calls those your stars.
Got it. So the stars are the things that we read thoroughly.
Yes.
But what about everything else?
Well, there are scans.
Right?
Those are the sources you just skim.
Okay.
You know, headlines and key takeaways, but you don't get bogged down in the details.
Okay.
And then there are targets. Those are the sources you go to when you need very specific information.
So it's all about being strategic with our engagement.
Exactly.
We don't have to read everything super in-depth.
Yeah.
We also don't have to completely isolate ourselves.
Right. And just like with a healthy eating diet, you have to evaluate your media diet and make adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Are your stars still providing you with good insights? Are you spending too much time on scans?
It's like spring cleaning for our minds.
Exactly.
Okay, this is all making a lot of sense, but in a world where anyone can post anything online, how do we even know what sources are reliable? I feel like it's so hard to tell what's real and what's fake.
That's such a good point, and it's where bit literacy becomes even more important. You need to develop a critical eye.
Okay.
One of the simplest but most powerful skills is learning how to actually read a URL.
Really? I have to admit, I usually just glance at it and click away.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of information hidden in a URL that can tell you about the credibility of a website. Like pay attention to the domain extension .com, .org, .gov.
Okay, so a .gov website is more likely to be a reliable government source
Right.
than like a random blog.
Okay, so it gives me a clue about who's behind the website.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. What about those really long URLs with all the slashes and stuff? What are those all about?
Those are called subdomains and directory paths.
Okay.
And they can tell you more about the specific section of the website you're visiting.
Okay.
And sometimes that can help you spot fake websites or phishing attempts.
Oh, wow. I'm realizing I've been taking URLs for granted.
Yeah.
It's like I've been blindly clicking without paying attention to where they're sending me.
And that's why bit literacy is so important.
Right.
It's about becoming an informed consumer of information.
Not a passive one.
Exactly.
This is making me think about all those forwarded emails and social media posts with like crazy headlines that don't have any clear source.
Right.
Are those always fake?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But it's good to have a healthy skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
Always check the source of any information before you share it.
Yeah. Or even before you absorb it yourself.
Okay.
Is it a reputable website? Does the URL match the claimed source?
So much good advice already.
It's a lot.
I have a confession to make.
Okay.
My photo organization is
Ooh.
a work in progress.
Okay.
I take a lot of photos for my business, but they're kind of scattered all over the place. Any bit literate tips for taming that chaos?
Well, a lot of photo management tools try to solve this with complex systems of tags and ratings,
Yeah.
which can be really time-consuming.
I've tried those. And it feels like more work than it's worth.
Right. So Hurst recommends a simple approach called two-level storage.
Okay.
You organize your photos by year, and then within each year, you create folders for each month or event.
So instead of trying to remember keywords, I can just think back to when and where I took the photo.
Exactly.
That sounds much easier.
It is.
What about all those blurry photos and duplicates? Do I really have to keep all of those?
That's where the letting go principle comes in again. Be ruthless. Only keep the best photos, the ones that truly capture the event or subject.
I like that.
Think quality over quantity.
It's like decluttering my digital photo album
Exactly.
and keeping only the photos that spark joy.
I love that.
It will make it so much easier to find what I need later.
Yes, exactly. Now that we've talked about organizing your photos, let's kind of flip the script
Okay.
and talk about the information that you're putting out into the world.
Okay.
As an entrepreneur, you're constantly creating content.
Yeah.
Emails, documents, presentations, social media posts.
Right.
And it's really important to be mindful of how you're using those bits.
I never thought about it that way. I'm usually just focused on getting my message across. But I guess the way I present that message really matters.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another aspect of bit literacy,
Okay.
which is crafting effective communication.
Good.
In today's world where everyone is just bombarded with information, brevity is so important.
So it's about being respectful of your audience's time.
Yeah.
And attention.
Exactly.
No more rambling emails or wordy documents.
Hurst calls this letting the bits go when you send information,
Okay.
just like when you receive it.
Makes sense.
It's about being clear, concise, and impactful.
I like it. I'm all for efficiency, but how do we actually do that? Any tips for writing better?
One really helpful technique is called front-loading,
Okay.
which basically means you state your main point right at the beginning.
So no more burying the lead.
Exactly. Get straight to the point
Okay.
and then provide the context.
Got it. And don't forget about the subject line.
Oh, yes.
That's important too, right?
Oh, so...
Because that's the first thing people see.
Yeah, it's like the headline.
So no more vague subject lines like following up.
Right, or just important information.
Yeah, exactly.
It has to be specific.
Okay, so let's move on to something else that I think is often overlooked.
Okay.
File formats.
Ah, yes.
I'll admit I don't usually think about them too much.
I think a lot of people don't.
As long as I can open the file, I'm good.
Right, but actually choosing the right file format can make a big difference.
Okay, how so?
It can affect the file size, the quality, compatibility, even security.
Okay, you've piqued my interest. What are the essentials I should know?
Let's start with images.
Right?
The two most common formats are JPG and PNG.
Okay.
JPG is great for photographs because it compresses the file size without losing too much quality.
So if I'm sending product photos from my website, JPG is the way to go.
Exactly, because it keeps those files small
Okay.
and they load faster.
Got it.
But PNG is best for images with sharp lines and text,
Well, hey,
like logos or graphics.
so if I'm sending my logo to a designer,
Yeah.
I should use PNG.
Yes, because it preserves those sharp lines.
Got it. That makes sense.
What about audio?
Oh, that's a good one because I'm thinking about starting a podcast.
Perfect.
So I definitely need to know about audio formats.
The go-to format for audio is MP3.
Right.
It's a good balance of quality and file size,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it great for podcasts.
Got it. MP3.
That's
It
good.
is. What about text documents? I do a lot of writing.
Well, this is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
A lot of people use Microsoft Word, but Hurst actually recommends ASCII text.
ASCII text. That sounds kind of old school.
I know, right?
Is that still relevant today?
It's more relevant than you might think
Yep.
because ASCII is plain text.
Right.
So it doesn't have any fancy formatting or hidden data.
Right.
It's very lightweight, compatible with pretty much every computer, and less vulnerable to viruses.
So I can see the appeal there, especially if you value simplicity.
Right.
Well, what about when you need to format a document, like a proposal or report?
Well, for basic formatting, email is fine.
Okay.
And if you need to share a formatted document, PDF is the gold standard
Got it.
because it preserves the formatting no matter what computer the recipient is using.
Got it. So GPG for photos, MP3 for audio ASCII for writing, and PDF for sharing.
That's it.
Perfect. Okay, now let's talk about something that can be a game changer.
Okay.
File naming. This is an area where I definitely need help.
I think we all do.
My downloads folder is a black hole
Yeah.
of randomly named files.
It's a mess.
It is. I spend way too much time trying to find what I need.
Well, with a bit literate approach, you can fix that.
Okay, tell me more.
Hurst recommends this structure. Author, initials, date, topic.
Okay, walk me through an example.
Okay.
Let's say I'm creating a presentation for a client called Acme Corporation.
So you would name that file MH224114 Acme Presentation .pdf.
Okay.
MH are your initials, 2024-1145 is the date, and Acme Presentation is the topic.
I love that it's so clear and concise
Right.
and easy to search for.
It makes it so easy.
My files will be so organized.
I know, it's going to be amazing.
And should I use hyphens to separate the elements?
Yes, hyphens are the best.
Okay, hyphens it is.
Because they work on all platforms. You don't run into any weird character issues.
Got it. Okay, so my file names are now spick and span.
Awesome.
What about the actual file system itself? How should I organize all those folders?
Hurst recommends a simple approach.
Okay.
You create a single parent folder
Go up.
for all your work-related files.
So one folder to rule them all.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
But how do I organize everything within that folder?
You create individual project folders for each client or project.
Okay.
And then within those folders, you can organize by type.
Okay.
Emails, documents, presentations, and so on.
My inner organizer is doing a happy dance right now.
Good.
This is so much better than just dumping everything into one giant folder.
I know, it makes a big difference.
But what about those files that relate to multiple projects? Where do those go?
You can create category folders that span across projects.
Okay.
So, for example, you could have an expenses folder for all your expense reports or a contracts folder for all your contracts.
That makes sense. It's like a cross-project filing system.
Exactly.
Okay, this is all great. Now let's talk about productivity hacks.
Yes.
I'm always looking for ways to be more efficient.
Well, one of the most fundamental skills and one that I think is often overlooked is touch typing.
You mean typing without looking at the keyboard?
Exactly.
I've tried to learn, but I always end up going back to my hunt and peck method.
I know it's tempting.
It is?
But it's so worth it to learn.
Cool.
It can really boost your productivity and reduce fatigue.
Okay. You've convinced me I'm going to give those typing tutor programs another try.
Good.
Any tips for making it more fun? Because I tend to get bored easily.
Some of those gamified typing tutors can be really helpful.
Okay.
And here's a more radical idea.
Okay, I'm listening.
Try switching to the Dvorak keyboard layout.
Dvorak? What's that?
So most keyboards use QWERTY.
Right.
But Dvorak is actually designed for efficiency and ergonomics.
Okay.
So the most commonly used keys are all on the home row, which makes it faster and more comfortable to type.
Okay. I'm intrigued, but wouldn't it be really confusing to learn a whole new layout?
There is a learning curve.
Yeah.
But a lot of Dvorak users swear by it, especially if you have wrist or hand pain from typing.
Okay. Explore Dvorak is going on my to-do list.
Good.
Okay. Speaking of to-do lists, any other bit-literate productivity hacks?
One of the most powerful tools is what's called a bit lever.
Okay.
Or text expansion software.
Bit lever text expansion.
It sounds a little technical.
Yeah. Break it down for me.
It's basically a superpower for your typing.
Okay.
You create shortcuts that expand into longer phrases.
Okay.
So you could set up a shortcut like Hurst sig that automatically inserts your email signature.
That'd be amazing.
Right.
No more copying and pasting every time.
Exactly.
Okay, so what else can I use it for?
Anything you type frequently.
Okay.
Email addresses, website URLs, even like boilerplate responses to customer inquiries.
Wow, my mind is racing with possibilities.
That's a huge time saver.
It is. Are there any specific tools you recommend?
For Mac, Tipinator and Typewrite for Me are great.
Okay.
And for Windows, ActiveWords is popular.
I'm adding those to my list. Okay, so we've got touch typing, keyboard layouts, and text expansion. Any other bit-literate secrets you want to share?
Okay, one final tip. Embrace keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah, I use a few basic ones like Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V, but I'm sure there's a ton more.
Oh yeah, most applications have a bunch of shortcuts for everything.
Okay.
Spend some time like looking through the menus.
Okay.
You'll be amazed how much time you can save.
No more mousing around.
Exactly.
This has been such a great conversation.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling more in control of my digital life just from these tips.
That's the power of bit literacy.
It really is.
It's not about becoming a tech expert or anything.
Right.
It's about understanding a few basic principles and using simple tools.
To manage all this information.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I have one more question.
Okay.
What about backing up all this stuff?
Oh, that's so important.
Yeah. Any advice?
You never know when a hard drive might crash or a laptop could get stolen.
Right.
So back up your entire computer regularly.
Okay.
Get an external hard drive. Okay.
And consider using a cloud backup service as well.
Double the backups, double the peace of mind.
Exactly.
I'm feeling so much more confident about managing my digital world.
Good.
anything else I should be doing to stay on top of my bit literacy game?
I think it's an ongoing practice.
Okay.
Stay curious, explore new tools, be willing to experiment.
Right, because things are changing all the time.
Exactly. So it's good to be flexible.
Okay. This has been a truly enlightening deep dive. I can't thank you enough for all this.
Of course.
I think our listeners are going to walk away with a ton of strategies
Yeah.
for taming that digital beast.
Yeah, it's not about letting technology control us.
Right.
We have the power to choose how we use it.
So well said. And, we don't have to do everything at once, right?
No, definitely not.
We can start small,
Exactly.
unsubscribe from a newsletter, or organize some files.
Little by little.
Exactly.
It makes a difference.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for this conversation. Until next time.
My pleasure.
Stay curious, stay organized, and stay bit literate.